Welcome back to the Tailosive movie review, starring your co-host, me, Mike, and apparently we got Hugh Jackman on today. Hello, Mr. Jackman. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. It's been wonderful getting to know you guys, and yeah, we're gonna have a good podcast.
Hey Mike, how are you?
I was gonna say Hugh Jackman sounds a little bit under the weather. I'm good. How about you, Nick?
I'm doing well. Oh boy, what movie are we going to be talking about today?
Well, assuming that Hugh Jackman has joined us, it's another Wolverine movie. Sadly, we kind of ran out of Wolverines, so we kind of had to get
I heard the original trilogy of X-Men is really good.
Have you even tried watching those or looking at them yet?
No,
Nick?
no,
Okay.
I haven't. You've told me enough about them, so I know that I don't need to watch them.
I tried watching them the other day, and I'm just like, oh, this is bad. this is really bad. No, we watched the one and only Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and not with his mouth sewed up.
Not this time.
Yeah. What'd you think, at least, or I guess maybe we should start with, how would you rate this movie, Nick, out of 8, especially comparing it to the other movies that we've watched in the past?
Yeah, if we compare it directly with the last movie we reviewed, Mr. Kronk's New Groove, I'd say this one is infinitely better. I was debating whether or not to give it a 6.5 or 7. I haven't quite decided, but somewhere in there. It's really good. I have to not give it a solid 7 or a solid 7.5 or even an 8 because of the gore. Gore's not really my thing, and it is a gory movie, but it is very funny. Other than that, it was extremely well done. Other than that, how about you?
Nice. Yeah, I'd give it a 6.
Okay.
It's fun. I think what's really great about this movie is the fact that it took the universe as it was, and it's like, you know what? It exists, but this is his time to shine as the red man running around stabbing people and shooting people and saying a lot of very vulgar things. What'd you think of there's so many references in this movie, Nick. There's a huge amount from the pop culture music back from like 90s, 80s type of music that they bring in, such as Wham!
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of other stuff, along with different we get a Stan Lee cameo, which I don't know if we saw too much of a Stan Lee cameo.
My mind was broken when I saw that. I was like, wait a minute. Stan Lee is in this? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the movie really sets it up real well in the fact that like this movie takes itself so not seriously. It's very much like, yeah, we're going to do a lot of fourth wall breaking. I didn't count how many times they did fourth wall breaks, but
yeah. More than I was expecting.
But the beginning was just like a great way to frame this movie. It's funny, it's silly, it's serious, it's gory, but in the end, it's one of those superhero movies that you kind of sit down and watch. And you're like, okay, that wasn't bad use of my time. Don't know if I could have used a lot of those scenes with the unicorns, but sure.
Yeah. Again, I would have appreciated the airplane version a lot more. For those of you listening who don't know what I'm talking about, back in the day, they used to cut movies up for the airplane and cut out all the bad parts. And probably would be like a 2-minute video if we did that.
Yep.
So
I was gonna say it would be. Oh goodness, it'd maybe be some of the stuff with Deadpool, or I guess Wade Wilson and Vanessa. Just some of their relationship. Not a lot of it, because there's a lot of vulgar, or not vulgar, but I guess spoilers, because we're going to be spoiling this movie, though. This movie's from 2016, and how have you not seen this movie? Also,
I'm sorry, I haven't seen it.
It's also a rated R movie, so we might go into detail with a few things. So if your virgin ears don't want to listen to this, then maybe skip to next week's episode when we talk about space things.
Okay. Yeah. I think my favorite part of this movie was honestly just Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds in the spotlight, and like it honestly felt like heck, like Aviation Gin was in the background of one of the shots, and I'm just like, Oh my gosh, this is like such a Ryan Reynolds like YouTube video. It's just so perfect, and that was my favorite part of the entire movie. Just getting to watch Ryan Reynolds have good dialogue, have good acting, funny circumstances, awkward stares at the camera. Like it was just like, beautiful.
So I'm kind of confused with this universe. I know it doesn't take itself seriously, but apparently Ryan Reynolds exists in this universe along with Hugh Jackman. But at the same time, Wolverine exists and Deadpool. It's almost bridging that Logan arc that they kind of did with, there's like the comic books exist in this universe. You're just like, this is getting a bit too meta now.
Yeah, and you're referencing the Sexiest Man Alive stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they also mention Ryan Reynolds in the movie as well.
Does he?
I think Wade Wilson talks about it. Yeah, I think he mentioned, oh goodness, at some point I got it written down somewhere.
Yeah, well, it was not a movie I was expecting to love, and I might watch it again at some point. it was good.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a surprise. That's I think the first time Nick is rewatching an X-Men movie. We've gone through this whole entire universe almost. We're almost near the end of kind of this whole series that we're going through with the X-Men, and this is the first time Nick Sweeney says, I could rewatch this again without, I don't know, getting too weirded out by, I don't know, all the gore or just
I don't know.
plot.
That I looked away a couple times. I don't know. It was when he's cutting his hand off, I couldn't watch that part, but just like
ooh, money shot.
No, that's not happening. But
I
don't know.
There's so many great bits and scenes in this movie. What would you say yours is the what that was a weird sentence. What would you say was your favorite, Nick?
Favorite scene of the movie, anything with the taxi driver. I loved the back and forth there. It was
Dopinder and Wade Wilson. Yeah.
I love that. Like just how it escalates so quickly from like, Deadpool giving life advice to this guy in the back seat, and then he crawls up into the front seat and he can't pay, so he gives him a high five, and the guy's just like, okay. And then he goes, and then he comes back, and we got the big Iron Dude. Okay, question: they brought in all of the Professor X. What's that? The university thing. They have like the university
Xavier School of Gifted Children.
Yeah, but they didn't have any other X-Men, and they mentioned it as the production company couldn't hire any more X-Men on the budget. But I'm like, that's not the reason.
There's only two of you.
Like, that's not the reason. So, like, what's the reason? Just it being funny, or at this point in the timeline, they're not supposed to be any more mutants?
No. So this is, again, we don't really know what universe we're in or anything like that.
Okay.
They don't really make notice to, this is after Days of Future Past or this is before Days of Future Past or anything like that. What they do kind of name drop, I don't know if you noticed this, is the fact that Colossus is taking Deadpool away, and Deadpool's Colossus is like, we're going to take you to the professor. And Deadpool responds with, which one, McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are getting so confusing.
I did catch that. And I was assuming those are the actors' names, the young one and the old one?
Yeah, Patrick Stewart's the one that we saw in Logan, and James McAvoy? Yeah, he's the younger one that we saw get bald eventually.
That's pretty funny.
So yeah, we have no I mean, to answer your question, we don't know where the X-Men are. They could be off on a mission. It's kind of weird that they're on a mission. They didn't take the X-Jet.
All right, that's my least favorite part of the movie. If we're getting into my least favorite part of the movie, gore and stuff aside, it's the X-Jet. I don't know. And they didn't even try to make anything make any sense with the X-Jet this time. It's just like literally an extended SR-71 Blackbird, but they can just hover somehow. It like takes off vertically. It's like a VTOL, and you're just like, oh, movie, why?
They also didn't utilize it for the final fight. They instead take a cab to the final fight at a helicarrier, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that.
I was trying to figure out what they were on. It looked like a big ship of some sort, but it had like containers on it, so I thought it might be like a container ship or something. But
So if you noticed on like the fore and aft side of it, it had big turbines that were covered. The helicarriers that we're used to in the Avengers are almost like a duct system that have propellers inside. These are a little bit more like a turbo ram engine rotated 90 degrees, so it's up and down.
Have we seen helicarriers in the X-Men universe before? Okay.
No, so that's what the most there's a lot of interesting things about this movie, but that was one point of interest in this movie is the fact that they bring a helicarrier in. Doesn't look like the Avengers one, but they don't really mention the Avengers. I don't think they've really mentioned the Avengers too much. I think they maybe pointed it in Deadpool 2. I'm sure they're gonna really make fun of it in Deadpool 3 because Marvel is producing directly. Marvel Entertainment is producing Deadpool 3. So
and
it'll be interesting.
We
to
may
see
have
what
a
they do with that.
multiverse of madness coming up, so who knows what's happening.
Indeed. But yeah, this again, like I said, this movie's chock full of so many different things. I would say there's a lot of funny scenes to me. The one, oh goodness, maybe one of my favorite lines in this movie is Fat Gandalf when they're in the bar with T.J. Miller. Oh goodness. And then you got this big fat Gandalf dude hitting on Vanessa, and then she grabs him by the balls. Wade Wilson's just like, "Hey, Hakuna his tatas."
That was pretty good. Yeah, there were so many good lines. Like I almost wanted to stop and write them down, but like I was just enjoying the movie too much. Like I rarely like actually laugh while I'm watching a movie. You know, the first few times I watched The Office, I would laugh, and you know, some other like fairly meta shows, I would actually laugh. But this movie, I legitimately laughed out loud, like, or like out loud, not in my head. Like it's rare, quite a few times. And yeah, that was one of them. Hakuna Matata's like, oh gosh.
One that me and my wife still quote. I don't know if you've heard of the cleaning product Ajax, but. So the main villain of this movie, his name is Ajax or Francis, the one dude who doesn't feel pain, except sometimes he's like writhing in pain on the ground, but I guess he's just taking a while to get up. I'm not too sure, but it's every single time we get a can of Ajax, I take a Sharpie and I cross it out and I write Francis.
What's my name? What's my name? Francis.
Oh, I'll tell you your name.
Okay. We gotta talk a little bit about the plot line here. What did you think of the love story going on here?
The love story, I mean, I think the plot as a whole, what I don't like about this movie is the fact that it jumps around all over time a lot, where it's like, okay, at the very beginning we get the cool highway scene with Deadpool. But then it flashes back to what happened before he was Deadpool, and then it flashes back to Deadpool, and then it flashes back to before Deadpool, and then becomes Deadpool, and then it finally builds its way up to the beginning of the movie, and then we continue, in which, to be fair, like, not too much time passes in this movie, or at least it doesn't seem like it, maybe like a few months. But the fact that, like, we're jumping around might... it's kind of hard to keep things straight in what's going on. But yeah, the love story, it's a very unique one. I like what they do with it. It's the fact that, like, it's not a typical Disney or superhero type of, like, Clark Kent and Lois Lane type of relationship. It's very much maybe a little bit more grounded in reality, but maybe a little bit too much in some ways.
Yeah. I can see that.
But it is a wholesome one, I would say, in the end. The compilation of them celebrating holidays was an interesting one. The part I have to look away in this movie is when she's shoving Thanksgiving dinner into his mouth while they're doing it on the table. I just can't look at that. I can't. It just looks gross to me. I don't know why. It just makes my stomach churn.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is a wholesome relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, they mentioned many times the Voltron ring or Bernadette,
Yep.
the little money bag.
Yep.
And when we get to the scene where Vanessa gets kidnapped by Ajax, it's kind of like a lighthearted, maybe not lighthearted. He picks up the bag and it's like, oh, that was their thing together, their little money bag, and she wouldn't leave it behind.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It pulls you by the heartstrings in some way, but yeah. Definitely a plot device.
Yeah.
What about you?
I wasn't a huge fan of everything before they got engaged or whatever, but then like after like watching her care about him so much and then him kind of like emotionally shut down over the whole cancer thing was like, oh, this is good. And just like him wanting to leave and not have her remember him as, a broken husk of a, cancer patient, and like her wanting to be there for him, and it's just like, oh wow, that would make a good story. But I know they're not going to pursue that storyline because that would make too much sense. But anyway, I'd appreciated that, and I guess that level of commitment, at that point in the movie, I knew it later when he was, unsure if he was gonna be accepted by her with his new face.
His avocado screwing another older avocado. It's a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. I wasn't feeling the emotional weight that he was the character was feeling in the moment, because I was like, well, obviously she still loves you and she cares a lot about you. She's not on the arm of some other guy right now, so obviously she'll accept you. She was gonna be with you through cancer. I mean, you're still here. Your face looks weird.
You are haunting. You will die alone.
I loved that scene when like he's at the bar with his friend. He's like, "Oh, it's bad." It's like, "Oh, how bad?" Yeah. Oh gosh, no.
It's just like every single sentence from T.J. Miller's mouth is just, it's gold in this scene of just yeah. This isn't a very apt description of your face, but why did you have to put it that way at the same time?
Because it's Deadpool, evidently.
Captain Deadpool.
Captain Deadpool, totally. Okay, so how's this fitting in? And I guess maybe we just need to stop trying to figure this out. But that was something as I was watching it. Like, how does this fit in with the other Deadpool? Like, are they just parallel origin stories? Are they just hoping we forget about the other one? Or, like, are we supposed to worry about 3 Mile Island or not?
I don't think they're trying to make us forget, because there is a very specific scene, I don't know if you saw it, where there is a tiny little figurine of Deadpool or from X-Men Origins that he picks up, that has the blades coming out of his arm. He almost looks like you probably haven't played Mortal Kombat, have you? He looks like Baraka, basically, for those who know Mortal Kombat. But yeah, so I don't think they're really dismissing it. They're acknowledging that happened, but they're reinventing. It's almost like a new or re-origin story. It's I kind of think of like what happened with Spider-Man, right? Okay. They didn't have to do the whole Uncle Ben thing. We all know what happened. In this, they acknowledge that existed, but here's maybe what actually should have happened. And or you could take it as Days of Future Past happened and made it so that X-Men Origins never really happened. And so what did happen is that Wade Wilson got his powers later, and he got cancer and all that.
That's like a fourth wall break inside of a fourth wall break. It's like 16 walls.
Like 16 walls.
I didn't know where that quote came from until I watched this movie. So I knew it was a Ryan Reynolds quote that people would throw around. But I'm like, oh, now I get the context. See, look at that. Very nice. Yeah. What did you think of his whole transformation arc from broken cancer patient with nothing to live for to anti-hero?
It happens almost, I mean, it's a whole montage right there. I mean, right after the scene that we talked about with him talking to Weasel. I think his name's Weasel in the movie. I'll just call him T.J. Miller. It breaks into a montage of almost like a Spider-Man-y type of superhero origin of just like, at first it's just like a hood that he wears, and I don't know why he chose white, because he knows he's gonna get shot or ever, but okay, white, and then it becomes a blood-drenched white jacket.
He's out there with like a little like Clorox pen. And the lady's blind, but yet somehow she knows he has a bloody shirt, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Oh boy, yeah, the montage was good.
Yeah, and then it slowly builds into, okay, his suit kind of looks similar with like, it's more cloth. It almost looks like Spider-Man from the original Spider-Man series, where Tobey Maguire's doing like the wrestling scenes or whatever. It reminds me of that type of suit. And then he's a really great seamstress or whatever, and he's able to make this this not velvet or Velcro. Leather, I get, like a leather suit. I don't know how he's able to do it, but he does. I guess he's just Deadpool. But yeah, that's probably... there we go. My favorite scene in this whole movie is the Zamboni scene.
Oh my gosh, I forgot
the guy
that. That was
crawling
good.
on the ice, trying to escape Wade Wilson or Deadpool. And Deadpool somehow got a Zamboni, and he's slowly trying to get him. And it's just like...
I didn't absolutely love that scene when they're tight, but as soon as they went to the wide shot and just showed like the blood trail and the Zamboni moving at like 2 miles an hour,
you're gonna die
by a Zamboni
eventually.
It's like, oh, this is good. There were so many like really good circumstances that the writers came up with to toss this really funny character in. I think actually, honestly, almost every scene was like a really funny circumstance to toss this character into. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is a treasure of humanity. At this point, we should get him listed on the national monuments list or whatever, because he's that important.
We'll just etch his face into the Mount Rushmore.
There you go.
Mountain. So it's our 5 founding fathers. It's George Washington. I forget the other 3. And
Thomas Jefferson, Teddy Roosevelt, and I'm not getting the 4th.
What's bad is I've visited Mount Rushmore, so
I've been there many times, and I can't remember the 4th. So
it's surprisingly smaller than you think. Anyways,
oh boy, yeah, the all of our scenes, honestly, everything was gold. And I guess going through these movies with you on the show has really showed me how much I appreciate good writing and how difficult it can be to pull off. And this is another example of good writing. Like, I was getting the same like clever, happy feelings as I was watching Emperor's New Groove. You know, completely different movies, completely different target demographics, but the writing is on point in both of them, and I give props to that. You know, when the dialogue is witty, quick, and like it's the perfect zinger response, like delivered milliseconds after the instance, and it's just like, that's a witty comeback right there. It's good.
You know where they didn't do well in this movie was the CGI in some circumstances. One that really stood out to me was the final fight between Francis and Deadpool on the helicarrier, where Deadpool's like doing weird gymnastic moves, like flipping over his legs or whatever, and you could definitely tell that's a weird... they could have gotten some really good choreographer, but instead they did an animation, and it just didn't look good to me. I know that you're usually the visual... not expert, but at least the one who picks these out. But I picked it out immediately. I'm like, ew. Just, I don't know. It doesn't have to look good. You could even have Ryan Reynolds trying to do it, and it looks bad, but that just might make it even funnier because he's Deadpool. And Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool in this, like, as much as Deadpool's Ryan Reynolds. And so it would make sense in this new kind of character, or reinvented character, that maybe he's not the most acrobatic, but he's still, I don't know. He can still get shot multiple times. He can still get a dagger shoved into his head and survive.
Yeah. As far as the CG goes, there were definitely a few moments. Yeah, the end fight scene. I noticed it most when. Let me go to my cheat sheet here. Here's the bad guy.
Francis, Ajax.
Ajax. I was trying to think of the Ajax. When he was holding his girlfriend.
Angel.
No, Angel.
Who's do you know who she is?
Yeah, Gina Carano. That was Angel.
Yeah.
Who's his girlfriend though? I was looking for his girlfriend's name.
Oh, you're looking for Vanessa.
Wait, Vanessa. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I don't see it.
Which is Marina
Vanessa is way
Baccarin.
down there. Why is Vanessa so far down here? She's like a main character. Anyway, so Vanessa, when Ajax was holding Vanessa over the edge of the helicarrier, showing Wade that he had Vanessa, the shot down there, the lighting didn't match with their hair, and it was just like, oop, bad CG. Hello. But it wasn't unbearable for me, I guess. I don't know. There were for some moments, but honestly, when you're as picky as me about visuals, sometimes every good movie still has problems, and it wasn't unbearable to me, I guess. So
No,
yeah.
I think they did Colossus really well, both visually and as a character in this whole movie. He's very much that goody two-shoes X-Men guy who's followed Professor X every single step of the way. Like, yes, we are good guys. And then he's almost the antithesis of Wade Wilson, who's just like, I'm going to kill every person in my way. I don't care.
Yeah.
And Colossus is like, 4 or 5 moments will define your life. What?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I really do like Colossus. Was he in any other movies that I might have missed, or
we've seen him before?
Oh no.
The issue is he didn't look like what he looked like.
Okay.
He didn't look like a big metal buff Russian dude. He was a little bit smaller and skinnier.
Okay.
I think we saw him last in, I think it was Days of Future Past, if I remember right. Yeah.
Okay.
He was in those scenes, I believe, where
the Sentinels are trying to get him.
the Sentinels are murdering people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he gets ripped apart at one point. At the very beginning scene of Days of Future Past, he gets ripped apart.
Yeah.
So that's Colossus.
So that's how he ends. Okay, cool. Good to know. Well, in this timeline of
so
Days
somehow
of Future
in this new timeline, he's now a big Russian dude who's always metal for some reason. I don't know why he doesn't unmetal himself, but for the whole movie, he's a big metal guy who's eating cereal, drinking juice, and or dealing with Wade Wilson. I don't know. Why doesn't the dude go back to being a normal skin tone person who... Maybe I'm not being metalist, but I feel like I would like to enjoy my cereal with my regular tongue and not with my metal tongue.
What if using your metal tongue gets rid of the metallic taste of Cheerios?
What if everything is metallic?
Well, yeah, then everything would taste
What if you're
like
eating a
Cheerios.
steak and it tastes like metal? I mean,
That would be rough.
Or like ice cream. I don't know.
Well,
I'd like to enjoy ice cream.
Knowing Disney, we're probably going to have a 8-episode TV show just on Colossus at some point in the future. So get ready for that.
I never thought of Disney Plus originals with the Deadpool cast.
I'd be down for it. I would be so down for it. Can you imagine a Mandalorian style of show with Deadpool? I would be so down for that.
Oh my goodness, that'd be so exciting. That was something that I wasn't considering. Of course, near the end of the podcast, I was going to ask, what do you want to see in a sequel? That's what I want to see.
100%.
I would love to see more exploration of... Oh, I guess I can't name drop. They name dropped the name, but we'll talk about him at the end if you watched past the credits.
I didn't.
Ooh, okay. You
What
missed
did
it
I miss?
again. There's so many. There's so many references in this movie. They reference, if you've ever seen the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Matthew Broderick. It's that scene at the end of Ferris Bueller's Day Off where he's in the robe and he's like, "Why are you guys still here? Go home," or whatever. But it's Deadpool in that robe, in that very same, or I don't know if it's the same set or they probably recreated it, but it's the
Yeah.
exact same looking set. And he's just
That's
like, "What are you
funny.
guys all here? Go home." And then he comes back. He's like, "Okay, well, here, it hasn't officially started. We're gonna make Deadpool 2, and we're gonna have this character." And then he leaves or whatever.
Steve Rogers is in Deadpool 2, confirmed?
No, Robert Downey Jr. in Deadpool 2 confirmed.
Wait, what? No way!
No,
Oh,
way,
okay.
no.
Oh, okay. Are you
No,
messing
Thanos.
with me?
Thanos is in Deadpool 2.
Thanos!
Except he's not purple,
I'm sold.
and he's a
I'm
badass.
Sold. I'm sold. I want to see more Thanos. I didn't even know this. Okay, cool.
I just told you Thanos.
See-
It's not Thanos. It's the same guy who plays Thanos.
Oh.
Oh. No.
Well, now this movie's gonna be a dumpster heap because I was getting excited.
Nah. So he plays a character called Cable. And Cable in the comics is...
I was just thinking of Larry the Cable Guy. Nice thick southern accent with no taste. I'm
Hey,
gonna
Dad.
snap half the universe out of existence.
Hey, Deadpool, what are you doing? Let's go get some things. Oh, also, I guess, I don't know if any of the audio listeners or video watchers can hear. I am no longer in the weird white background room. I'm now in my office. So if you're
True.
watching, hello. Welcome to the new space. But also,
Hello.
if you hear a dog, I apologize. That is my Australian Shepherd who does not like squirrels. So,
Wow. Your Australian Shepherd and I should really hang out on an episode of Am Sweeney Live, and we could calculate just how many squirrels would fit into a liquefied Model 3.
she would eat. Why a Model 3?
I don't know.
It could have
boy.
been anything. Why not? I don't know. Why not?
Why?
Why not the X-Jet?
No, I hate that thing. Oh my gosh, the X-Jet.
What did
don't
you
get me
think
started on
of
it
Negasonic Teenage Warhead?
Oh, the girl. Yeah.
You're like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? What? I was on like X-Jet. I wasn't thinking character. I was thinking like a weapon or something. Yeah. I don't know. She didn't seem to use her powers very effectively, I guess is what I'd say. But I guess she's
Do you
supposed
know
to be.
what her powers are?
I couldn't really tell. Some kind of orange energy explosion. And I feel like she could have used that more than twice. Which, you know, she's a teenage warhead, so if she's, you know, maybe still learning how to use her powers, whatever, that's fine. But I feel like she was an underutilized character because it really seemed like it was going to be her and Gina Carano's Angel going up together, and because they seemed like, you know, different superpowers. When they had Colossus and Angel go together, it was like, yeah, well, they're both going to beat the snot out of each other and not have anything happen for 3 minutes. So what's the point of this movie? No point.
Mm-hmm.
Just to watch
It was an interesting
Colossus
fight
mop the
scene,
floor
though.
with her.
Yeah, between Colossus and Angel, they seemed almost equal in power. Yet
Yeah.
they're again.
Yeah.
Was Angel's
Physics.
power just I'm strong, and then Colossus is just I'm made out of metal and big. So,
I don't know.
is the fight interesting?
Somehow Gina Carano was flipping the Colossus guy, who, if he was made out of like solid steel, would have to weigh like 4 tons or something. Just around, just, you know, like a normal fight. And I'm just like, really? Okay.
And yet she dick
Mutations.
punches him, and he tumbles.
Yep. Yeah.
Her punches are as powerful as metal genitals, which I find very interesting. Very intimidating.
Moving on. Way too much of
Nick
a
is
prude
at
to
a
be
loss for words.
Nick is way too much of a prude to be reviewing this movie. Let's see. I do want to talk about the lab, I guess, place a little bit. I don't know. Like,
it wasn't Stryker's lab for once. We
I
weren't
know.
stuck with Stryker being like, we are making the best weapon ever, and you will be you'll be amazing.
Yeah, I kind of like the vagueness of what their purpose was. You know, at first it's like, oh, we're gonna make you into a hero, and you know he is surviving all this trauma, being like, it's gonna make me better hero. You know, I'm gonna be able to fight for people, do something good in the world, and then like right before the ultimate torture chamber, which I'm not sure how that's painful because if your brain has hypoxia or whatever, you just pass out. But whatever, movie looks super painful. Anyway, the idea of them just saying, "Oh yeah, you're just going to be sold to the highest bidder, and who knows what you'll become? A mercenary, a disruptor, someone who's going to fight good guys or something." And he's just like, he's powerless to do anything at this point, and it's kind of like, ooh. That's kind of scary. Also, the friendship that he has with the guy next
Cunningham.
Yeah, I'm glad you have all the names down. David Cunningham. I thought that was like super realistic. Just like trying to make light of a bad situation, and both of these guys know that it's a bad situation, and they kind of bond over that. And I'm not even sure if they ever saw each other because they're strapped to tables opposite each other of a.
They
fabric
did,
divider.
I think, once.
Oh, they did?
And that was when the whole building was burning down.
True, yeah, at the end there. But, yeah, so I don't know. It was a good scene. Like, that whole scene of his, growth into a mutant was kind of cool. I would have appreciated that kind of a scene over what we got with Wolverine any day.
Mm-hmm. It was
Sorry,
a very... No one cares about Stryker. I thought, yeah.
Go
I also
walk
thought
a long ways.
Forever until someone stops you or whatever. Yeah, I applaud them for taking a different approach with this. It's not like, oh, these powers somehow came up, or a fantastic thing happened and now I have powers, or he went to Xavier's school and they taught him how to use his powers. No, it was basically, we're going to torture you in many different ways and it's going to be embarrassing and terrible. And then you're going to have to escape. And even if you try to escape, you can't. Because Francis is just all that powerful for some reason.
Well, he holds the cards.
Yeah, well, I find Francis and Angel not really interesting in terms of their superpowers or maybe their personalities either. They're just very broody, mean people who have super strength. Like, they don't have any unique things besides Francis doesn't feel pain, but he's strong. Okay. And then Angel is got a weird oral fixation thing with matches in her mouth and is strong. Okay. I don't know. They weren't as interesting of a villain as I wanted, but I think they more as served as punching bags for Deadpool to stab his knife through multiple times.
Yeah.
So.
And that's fine. I mean, that's what the plot required, right? And unfortunately, this isn't a movie that requires a super fleshed out villain, I guess, like say a Thanos or whatever, where they get like a lot of depth and character development towards the villain. This was more of a movie that most movies can just deal with a standard evil villain who's evil because he's evil. And that's the reason what we're given, and that's fine with me for this movie. I think the movie gets a pass on that front, having kind of two-dimensional villains, because the other characters don't really require a big villain, because a lot of the story is really Deadpool coming to terms with himself, his new self, and the villain there is not really. It's like the climax of the movie is not necessarily the fight scene with Ajax. Got the name right? Ajax. Didn't get the name right. Bummer. That's not the climax of the movie. The climax of the movie is him taking his mask off. And by the way, I absolutely loved the Hugh Jackman. I was not expecting that. I laughed so hard when he took his mask off and Hugh Jackman was staring you in the face, I was just like, very good. Very good.
Though, a continuity issue with that is that
Okay.
Hugh Jackman, that magazine was left in the ammo bag that was left in Dopinder's taxi. So did Deadpool take it out of the bag before they left? And then cut the eye holes or whatever, or cut it off so that he can staple it to his head?
Oh, that was a little painful.
I don't know. But yeah, I think the beauty but also bummer about the Deadpool movies is that we don't have Hugh Jackman. So we don't really get to see Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman
Fair.
go at one another. We just get a whole bunch of Ryan Reynolds poking fun at Wolverine. And then Hugh Jackman going onto Twitter or whatever, and then just poking fun of Ryan Reynolds in general. So, yeah, I think that's my only...
appreciated a cameo.
That's my only annoyance.
Did you notice that, I don't know, it's People Magazine or whatever, who does the Sexiest Man Alive thing? They had the intro thing, with the very beginning, when they're doing the intro, instead of like saying, you know, starring Ryan Reynolds, it said starring, and then a picture of the Sexiest Man Alive cover with Ryan Reynolds on it. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think the words that they
so funny. Or
wrote, or at least had up, was oh goodness, was it Hollywood's like beauty boy or something? I forget.
Okay, well, whatever.
I'd have to look at
that kind of a thing, where it's just like, oh wow, that's so funny, just so meta, right? Like, I don't know, very very meta movie. I loved it, and I loved all the fourth wall breaks, all 16 of them. Lots of fun. What did you think of the roommate kind of aunt? What's Spider-Man's aunt's name? Whatever.
That's Aunt May.
Aunt May.
I think
the kind of Aunt May character.
Is it Blind Owl? I think is what her name is.
Really, that's her name?
Blind Owl. Like, I can't find anything that looks... I don't recall her name. And the only thing I can find is...
Blind Owl. Leslie.
Blind Owl.
Leslie.
She's an interesting... She's almost kind of like that Aunt May to Deadpool in this movie. But at the same time, she's a lot more realistic as an old person, just tired of life, doesn't want to deal with anything, and is just trying to get by with her reality, which is being blind and trying to assemble IKEA furniture. Which, applause to her for even being able to roughly build the thing before it collapses.
Totally.
And then also having like a pistol on her leg. Again, what's up with like these movies that we're watching, Nick, where we've got old people lifting their pants or their legs to grab something strapped to their wrinkled
it ends up being a weapon.
Yeah. We're like 3 or 4 movies in now with these old people legs.
At least it wasn't Yzma. If it was the in real life version of Yzma, I probably wouldn't be sleeping tonight. I'd be forever worried. Yeah.
I think she's an interesting addition, though, I guess, to answer your question. I like how they kind of tied her in from the flashbacks to, was it Wade's current living situation, being in some weird apartment in the city or something like that. And then just living like slobs, like there's things in the corners everywhere. I mean, it kind of makes...
But they have a robot vacuum, so they're keeping it clean.
In which Blind Owl trips over.
I know. I feel so bad for her. Every scene, I'm just like, oh, that poor lady. But at the same time, it's really funny.
She definitely serves more as a comedy, just for Ryan Reynolds to, I guess, point and laugh at blind people. I guess blind old people. I don't know, but I think her acting was really well done. It wasn't really like, oh, where am I? Or whatever. It was very much someone who you would think they've lived life blind their whole life.
Yeah, they don't need their walking stick to go to the front door.
Not necessarily, no. But they're just kind of tired of like the regular day in, day out events or situations.
Mm-hmm.
Or even... I miss cocaine.
And at the very end, he was leaving. He was like, I may not buried 160 kilos of coke next to the cure of blindness somewhere in this house. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh, Wayne, this is too much. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. This movie is dated, though. Thinking about it, the music that they chose for it. They had Going Down for Real, or no, Getting Down for Real, or whatever, in the strip club, which is an old song that used to be popular. It's going down for do-do-do-do-do-do. I don't know if you remember it. Nope. Along with DMX, X Gonna Give It To You. Rest in peace, DMX. Recently passed away.
Cool.
Cool, not cool, man.
I have no idea who you're talking about. I'm saying
DMX.
Cool, the info. Who's DMX? Oh. Is that a race bike thing where you like go up and down the half bikes?
No, DMX is a artist.
Oh.
He's a rapper that passed away recently due to overdose.
Okay.
But
I didn't know.
He's got some good songs that he's produced. Anyways, cool. That got a little bit dark, just like the movie does.
It's like a fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. It's like 16 walls.
Yeah. They I don't know. Just that, along with like the presence of Twitter or whatever, like Negasonic Teenage Warhead just dawdling on their phone the whole time. It was kind of a nice poke at teenagers always sucked in on their phones, but it's now expanded to all of society sucked into their phones.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
That's right.
Teenage Groot also does that.
Teenage Groot is definitely like that. But society's like that at this point. I'd say there's a lot of adults who do the same thing. I mean, I catch myself doing the same thing too.
Yep.
Along with the turd emoji. The turd emoji, for some reason, is also mentioned in this. Didn't know what that served as, just like a funny one-liner, but okay.
And they mentioned Dairy Queen more than once in this movie, which was more than one shout out to Dairy Queen than I was assuming would happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Nick, I would say this is a pretty fun movie. What would you want to see in the sequel for it?
Well, first off, I really want to see more of Ryan Reynolds.
Nope, that's not going to happen.
Oh, man, they got a new actor. Bummer.
Yeah. Or Deadpool's just not in it.
Definitely Ryan Reynolds. Also, the writing. I want to have the writers that worked on this probably have the same writers involved, or find other writers who can continue doing the same work that the last writers did, because the humor, the situations that they got the characters into, all very perfect. I also really want to see a little bit more meta connection to the larger MCU, like not just MCU but the
Fox
Marvel
Cinematic Universe.
Well, not just the Fox Cinematic Universe, but as we're going to talk about at some point, there may or may not be a multiverse of madness coming up, and so I'd love to see them get a little bit more meta about things. Take that as you will, akin to Infinity War, talking about was it Back to the Future and Tim and what's his face's time machine and Doctor Who and all that, like just the pop culture references from some of the actors that played in Infinity War played characters in those movies, and it just gets all like real meta real quick. Like I want to see a little bit more of that here, because I feel like if there's any movie that now Disney owns that they could do this with, it's the Deadpool character, and maybe that's a Deadpool 3 thing, with the whole better Disney integration with the larger Disney stuff. But I am really looking forward to Deadpool 2.
Well, good news for you, they're currently writing Deadpool 3 right now. So it's currently in development. I don't know if they've started shooting yet, but it's in development, which means we will see it eventually.
Oh, nice.
Which is awesome. It means
that means it's going to tie in with all of the most recent Marvel stuff. Oh, yeah. Oh.
It means it'll be on Disney Plus as well. So
it would be on
exciting.
Disney Plus. Yeah, I was actually able to watch this for free. I was pretty shocked. It was on the Charter Spectrum app, and my grandparents have Charter Spectrum cable. And some reason I was signed into the app at some point on my phone. So when I went to play it in the TV app, I was expecting to rent it, but it said play, and I was like, huh? And I clicked on it, but there were ads all the way through, which is why I didn't actually watch the end credits, because there were 2 ad breaks after the movie was over, and each of those ad breaks were like 3 minutes, and I was like, it's not worth it. Sorry.
No, I'd agree.
Tangent.
Yeah, I watched it on DVD, not Blu-ray. DVD.
DVD. Did you have to get out an old CRT TV for that?
No, I've got an Xbox Series. No, not Series. Just an Xbox One X. So I just popped it in there and played it, and it looked very terrible with all the it wasn't visually appealing to the eyes in a lot of circumstances, where if there's an explosion, it didn't look spectacular. It just looked like a bunch of color on the screen. Or at least like maybe even the first scene where you've got Ajax sitting on his motorcycle
can be
waiting
HD, can't it?
It wasn't HD either. It was just bad. Huh. It was a bad DVD.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
But I guess thankfully, but not thankfully, I don't own Deadpool 2 on DVD, so I'll have to rent it or try to find it somewhere. So I'll be able to enjoy that in its beautiful cinematic glory that it is, with the many brooding shots of Cable.
Yeah. I don't know. As far as other things I want to see, I think that's kind of it. Like, it was a really solid first movie here, and I was impressed. I mean, I remember Deadpool coming out. You know, I was into pop culture stuff around 2016, but at the time I was not willing to watch anything vulgar, and I'm just barely now okay watching it. So it's still a little too vulgar for my typical tastes, but I braved up and I did it. But yeah, I remember it coming out in 2016, and everyone was talking about it like it was the hottest new thing, and I was just like, sounds like a fun movie. And it was. So
yeah,
it lived up to the hype. It lived up.
Definitely
to the hype.
wasn't a waste of time.
No, sir.
Yeah, something that at least I would look forward to in a sequel is maybe more character development on Cable, or not Cable, goodness, Colossus. Definitely a lot more deep dive into what he's like, or at least maybe even sussing out Negasonic Teenage Warhead and what she is and how she develops, I guess.
Yeah, we could be in favor
along
of that.
with maybe more X-Men characters. That would be nice. It's nice having Deadpool, but I think it's even funnier if like you've got people like Beast who are kind of like, oh yes, I'm the professor's assistant and I help out with things and I'm smart, and you just have Deadpool being like, ha, I hit the button that explodes the whole mansion or something like that. That'd be.
What does Negasonic even mean?
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I don't know.
I looked it up on Spotlight, and it only came up with more references to Negasonic Teenage Warhead. So perhaps it's a made-up
thing. It's just a name.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool.
It is a cool name. I mean, yeah.
Better than Captain Deadpool.
What did you think? Just like of that. There's a whole entire soundtrack with this movie, and that was a song that I actually bought on iTunes.
Oh wow.
Is it the Deadpool rap, I think, or something like that? Just hilarious listening to the lyrics in that thing. Very vulgar at points, or very edgy. Very much like a song made in 2016 trying to be hip and cool.
I love how we're looking back at 2016 now and thinking that they're not hip and cool. And I'm like, 2016 was just last year, right, guys? That means I'm old now.
It's like not too distant past, I'd say. Was that we're in 2021 right now? If you're listening to this in 2025 for some reason, hello, people of 2025 or whatever.
Has the world melted yet?
I really hope those giant ice cube machines are working real hard. I don't know if you've heard of those. We could talk about that some other time, Nick. Anyways, yeah. Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to reviewing Deadpool 2 with you, Nick. Deadpool 1 is a very funny movie that even Fox admits, yeah, I guess we had to release this eventually. I guess we didn't really dive deep into, what was it, the promo footage that the visual artists and Ryan Reynolds promoted to Fox, and then Fox was like, "No, we're not going to make it," and then they leaked it online, and
they
then
had to make it.
forced them to make it. I don't know if you compared those two different scenes.
I
of
haven't,
like,
no.
oh, okay, so it's very much like a not well chiseled out Deadpool versus a very well chiseled out Deadpool. I mean, and that's what happens, right? It's test footage versus what actually comes out. But you can see that the vision was definitely executed. It was executed real well from the promo to the movie. But yeah, otherwise, thank you again, Nick, for joining me. Since I'm the we don't even have a host. It's just a co-host, and
it's
then
just a co-host and a special guest. The special guest who has the most beautiful face in the entire world,
as he gets his Hugh Jackman face on. And,
oh, sorry,
hi, Johnny.
Sorry. There we go.
How's it going, Johnny Ive?
We fundamentally redesigned the entire movie watching experience. Instead of having the viewer be taken aback by items in the movie, we wanted them to be engrossed in it. I don't think that was a good Johnny Ive impression. Sorry.
I can't even do a Deadpool one, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you have any movie requests, I know that we've gotten a few from some friends of the podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
We will definitely be reviewing those in the future. But if there's anything you want us to review in the near future or something that comes up in your mind and you want us to cover it soon, we're more than happy to. Please just put down in the comments or whatever, wherever you're listening or watching this. You can find us on Twitter or on not on Facebook, but Twitter,
not me
Apple
either.
Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you want to find us.
Everywhere but Facebook and TikTok. Well, I'm technically on TikTok, but I can't figure that thing out.
I do not talk the tick.
People are telling me I should, or I'm going to be old. So I guess I better figure it out.
I'm already old, so I don't mind. I'm starting to get gray hair. Anyways,
as certain people have proved, that's not a bad thing.
Especially with Logan. All right, I've been Mike. You've been Nick, good sir. Thanks again for joining us. Take care.
See you guys.